So we are starting disease research today. This will be a fourth marking period assignment. And I'm making this video so that I can focus on grading third marking period stuff and not have to say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You definitely can ask me questions later if something doesn't make sense. But when we open the research, you have a slideshow with your name on it. You want to press the square arrow as normal to push it out to slides. Now I'm going to split screen this with the example back in Google Classroom. You don't need to do this part. But this might help show you my expectations. So on the very first slide, you will lose a point if you don't actually write the name of the disease you're studying with the disease name, title, here thing. If you don't write it there, you're going to lose some points. So if you forget your disease name, it's in the disease topics list that we signed up for. If you scroll down, you can see what everybody signed up for. If you haven't signed up yet, you have to do this on my device, and you can't pick something that's already been chosen in your class period. Additionally, if you want to change your mind, that has to happen today, Wednesday, the 30th of March. Once we get started, we don't want to lose time and effort by switching. So you also need to put your own dang name on it, not just because that's good practice, but also because when you play the video, your classmates might not know who you are, or if you want to show someone else. And then lastly, we need a high quality photo. Your low quality images that you might get from a Google image search, if you just aren't careful, don't work. We want a high pixel image where one of the dimensions is at least 1,000 pixels, none of those 200 by 300 pixel images. On the next slide, we need the pathogen type. I give you options. It's going to be one of these. For most of you, it's going to be a virus or a bacteria. A couple of you have a protist. I don't think anyone's studying a fungus. And one of you has a prion. That's chronic wasting disease. Transmission is how it's shared. Transmission can happen a lot of ways. So we can have a vector, something that helps spread a disease like an animal, like a rabid raccoon or a mosquito or a tick or a flea. Most diseases are spread other ways, either through person-to-person contact or through the air, like we researched. So transmission, how does your disease spread? It could be more than one way. For most diseases, there's one clear method of transmission. At risk or history. Or means you're either going to do 2 points in one category or one of each. So at risk means which population is more likely to get it. I didn't have at risk so much, but I did say individuals who smoke or take medication or have weakened immune systems are more likely to have complications. That's at risk. And children are most likely to get the disease. That's at risk. And then history is a date where something happened with your disease, a point in time, some discovery, some treatment. Notice I don't have any pictures on this slide. I don't need pictures on every slide. This slide isn't a photo, it's an accurate diagram. And this slide is a photo. This is an electron microscopic image, which is what kinds of images we'll need for viruses. So history facts, you could do 2 of those. At risk, you could do 2 of those, or you could do 1 of each. There's some flexibility. If you don't do any history facts, delete the title history. If you don't do any at risk, delete the part of the title that says at risk. And where it says disease name, you write your disease name on each slide, and if you're smart, you can just copy and paste it to each slide. Now these boxes move around. How did I do that on this box? I just clicked it and drug it over. And that gave me more room for text. So you have that option to move things around, but be careful. Don't put things right on the edge. Otherwise, they'll be hard to see. Some of your points come from formatting. So if you copy and paste giant paragraphs and they have to be in super tiny fonts to be read, 1, that's too much information. 2, you won't want to read about it. And 3, you probably won't understand most of it. So rewriting, rephrasing, and simplifying what you find is your big goal here when you find facts. So for instance, you might find a ton of symptoms. This is a really easy category. This is what happens to a body when it's infected. And so flu-like symptoms is one type of symptom. I went down and gave a bolded list of what that meant. and a rash and itchy blisters that scab over are the main symptom of chickenpox. There are other symptoms. I didn't do them all. I picked the most common. If you get pictures of symptoms and you're worried that they might be too gross, talk to me and show me first. This can happen where something is super duper gross. We don't have to get a picture of diarrhea or vomiting if that's a symptom. So let's be careful there. Treatments, prevention, and cure. If you notice here, I didn't talk about cure. For viruses, there usually isn't a cure once you have them. You just have to fight them. There is prevention, which means how to avoid catching a disease, which could be a vaccine, or it could be, wearing a mask when a disease is very prevalent, or in the case of malaria, sleeping with mosquito netting. That's prevention, how to not get it in the first place. And then treatment is what we do for the symptoms. So chickenpox, we can treat the symptoms, and we can prevent chickenpox ahead of time with a vaccine that wasn't available when I was a kid. But since I didn't have cure here, and anybody studying the virus, there isn't a cure, something we can magically give you to make you instantly better, like there are for many bacterial diseases. So I deleted the part of the title that I didn't have. You could just do 2 points of treatment. You could do 2 points worth of prevention, or, one of 2 of these categories. You don't have to do them all. Do what you can find. There's a little bit of flexibility. Statistics are facts with numbers. Measurements, not just a date and time. The early 1990s, not a statistic yet. An average of 4 million people got chickenpox. 10 to 13,000 were hospitalized, and 100 to 150 died each year. That's a statistic. Even though there's a bunch of numbers in there, that's all one fact. And then a percentage can be a statistic. 90% reduction in hospitalization since the introduction of vaccines. This graph is of the statistic. Be very careful that if you get a graph of your disease, that it matches the fact you're talking about. Google image searching a graph is a terrible idea. You want to actually go to the websites and find the disease. And as you look on the websites, not Google image searching, as you look on the websites, almost all of them are going to have graphs or charts about the disease. That's where you find the images. I will check these charts. If you just pull up some random Google image search chart, that doesn't count. You might not get a picture here. That's okay. You don't need a picture on every slide. You need 3 relevant good pictures. Last slide is sources. Your sources need to include the name of the website, when it was last viewed, and the actual web address. If I go to the CDC website, I don't want the homepage. I want the page for my disease. If I go to the Mayo Clinic, I don't want the webpage homepage, the .org. I want the rest of it for my disease. Same for Wikipedia. If you just give me the homepage link, that doesn't count for anything, and do not give me Google. You can search for other websites, and if you find them with Google, you can't just read the little Google search summary. You need to actually click the dang website, go visit it, and make sure it's accurate and trustworthy. Now, I've given you 3 trustworthy websites here. Wikipedia is generally okay. The Mayo Clinic and the CDC are also really good. There's another one not on here called the World Health Organization, the WHO, which is pretty good. But for these 3, you can open the link and view the website here. That's not good enough. You can search within the website and then find some information. And between these 3 websites, for most diseases, you can find everything. We have extra vocab words you might need and a grading summary. So when I grade this, 10 facts are 10 points. Then we have formatting, info, and grammar. If your choices for formatting make it harder to read, like you change the font colors and it's harder to read, or you have super tiny fonts, 1, you shouldn't have super tiny fonts. You're saying too much at that point. Then that's an issue. If you copy paste paragraphs, that would be your information being incorrect in the sense that you plagiarized it. Plagiarizing means you're not getting credit for those facts, and if you plagiarize too much, I'll just give you a 0 for the whole project. And then grammar is incorrect spelling. Your iPads can spell check. The places you're going to find information will be generally spelled correctly, so you can spell correctly if you take your time. So 5 points is keeping it visual so we can read it easily, and having correct information and appropriate grammar. 2 points for the sources, 3 points for relevant pictures. So if I'm talking about like how much chickenpox kills people and you have a graph of how much people are vaccinated, that doesn't make sense. They don't match. So just having a picture about your disease doesn't count if it doesn't match what you're talking about. So here, I have a picture talking about vaccinations, but also canceling out aspirin, because there's a weird thing where if you take acetaminophen or aspirin, you can have extra complications with chickenpox. A medicine that normally helps is a problem with chickenpox. We're eventually going to narrate the video. Adobe Spark is the easiest way to narrate a video. And then we're going to upload that video to Flipgrid. There are other things you can do. Like right now I'm screen recording or iMovie. They are harder. Actually, screen recording is easier, but it's lower quality and you have to do it in one take. iMovie is harder, but fancier. Adobe Spark seems to be the simplest way to make a video. We've done it several times. I'll link other videos about making videos for those of you who might forget. But the link to upload to Flipgrid, I'm going to share that later on Friday. Nobody should be ready to make a video yet, excuse me. So everybody will play their video for the class. Sometimes we just upload the videos and people can watch them. This time we're going to play them for everybody. And if you choose to stand up in front of the class and traditionally present your slideshow instead of playing the video, that will be the extra credit. It is valuable to be able to speak to a live audience. It's a lot easier to have a prepared video narrated where you can be perfect. So if you want to do that, that's fine. But it is a good skill to be able to present in front of a class. Again, we're going to be researching all this week and through Monday. And I will be grading like crazy. So it's okay to ask me questions, but if you ask me a question that you should know the answer to, I'm going to be a little grumpy about it. All right, good luck. Do your best. Take your time and get your facts first. Don't go Google image searching it right away.